Hey guys, welcome back. So you have requested this video and here it is, a day in the life of Gather Round Homeschool. So if you are new to our channel, my name is Sarah and I am the homeschool mom of 5 children. They are ages 13, 11, 7, 2.5, and a 10-month-old baby. We are entering into our 9th year of homeschool and our 8th month of using Gather Round Homeschool. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a day in the life as we are going through our Oceans unit study. This is the 4th unit study that we have done from Gather Round, and it just has been such a blessing to our family. We love the unit study style of homeschool. It just works so well for our broad age range of homeschool kids. So before we jump in and get started, I want to just preface this with a few things. Today I'm presenting to you the best I could of a normal day in our homeschool. What our Gather Round days look like on a Monday to Friday, usual basis. However, those of you who have young children can probably relate. No day in our homeschool ever looks the same. When you have a toddler and a baby, so much of your homeschool life revolves around nap times. And so sometimes we might get started at 8 a.m. Sometimes we may not get started until 10 a.m. It varies. We are by no means slaves to the clock. We do not adhere to any type of hour by hour schedule. We are more of a homeschool that does rhythms and routines. We tend to do the same things in the same order. So in today's video, I will make sure to put some timestamps and kind of narrate through and let you guys know how long each section of our Gather Round studies take, just to give you a flavor or a feel of how our days typically operate. So we typically tackle Gather Round during breakfast and during our group time block of our homeschool day. This is normally a time of day when my toddler Ezra is up in his room playing independently, and when my youngest Ava, who is 10 months old, is taking her morning nap. So we really try to hit the books hard during this time of day and be very productive and get as much done as we possibly can. So right now with my Gather Round studies, I am doing school with 2 middle schoolers. I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old, and we just moved into the middle school notebooks with each of them this year. I also have a first grader, Mariah, who is doing the early reader pages. She just bumped up this year from the pre-reader pages, and she is just starting to feel comfortable writing some basic words. And so you'll see that through some of her schoolwork today. She tends to draw a lot of pictures or dictate to me what she wants written down because she is just still in those pre-writing skill development phase. I also wanted to let you guys know that we do other language arts curriculums on top of Gather Round. So full disclosure, we typically skip some of the language arts pages that are in the Gather Round notebooks. And so we may get through Gather Round a little bit more quickly than a family who is doing all of the pages in the notebooks. Okay, so now that you guys have all of that information, let's dive in and get started. Today we were able to get up and get started and have breakfast on the table by about 8:30 a.m. And I use our breakfast time as our read aloud time. I don't eat breakfast with the kids. I just drink coffee, and I use this time while their hands and their mouths are busy to read aloud to them. So I always choose a book, typically off of the middle school or high school suggested reading list in the Gather Round teacher guide. I will use a chapter book to read aloud to the kids every day. I'll normally get in maybe 1 or 2 chapters at breakfast time, just depending on the book. And right now we're reading Treasure Island. Reading aloud during breakfast is just the perfect time of day for our family. My little ones are still pretty sleepy and waking up and are happy to just sit in their high chairs with Cheerios or bananas and just sit quietly and listen. My older kids are busy just, eating all all that protein as tweens and teens do. So breakfast takes us anywhere from about 20 to 30 minutes, and I am able to get 1 or 2 chapters in during that time frame. Now, this never is perfect. I have interruptions. The baby may cry. My husband may come in and out. It's very laid back, just, normal family breakfast. We get in what we can. It's really an enjoyable time, probably one of my favorite parts of the entire day.
His stories were what frightened people worst of all, dreadful stories that were about hangings and the walking of the plank and storms at sea and the dry tortugas and wild deeds and places on the... Really? And wild deeds and places on the Spanish Main. By his own account, he must have lived his life among some of the wickedest men that God had ever allowed upon the sea.
After breakfast, my older kids all work together to clean up the breakfast dishes and start the dishwasher and wipe down the counters, clean up all the crumbs, all those wonderful things that big kids are really great at helping at. And in the meantime, I will get my younger kids settled. I will put Ezra up in his room to play with toys and to listen to some music, and I will lay Ava down for her morning nap. Now, of course, you're going to see on this video, Ava was not cooperating and she did not want to go down for her nap when I wanted her to. So I ended up putting her in the sling to start group time. Now, something that we've been trying to work really hard at lately is to incorporate some type of review into our gather round time. So the solution my kids and I came up with was an index card system, where essentially we're just making flashcards. Each of my kids has an index card box where they store, different colored index cards. And every day we will go back through and look at the lesson from the previous day and write down 3 or 4 key facts. Now, my older kids are 11 and 13, and they are just entering those middle school years where they're really learning how to take notes and study on their own. And so I'm trying to be very intentional in modeling this for them. And so I will just go ahead on our whiteboard and write what should be on the front of their flashcard and the facts that they should be putting on the back. So today we are reviewing lesson 10, and we decided to make our review card about hurricanes. And so we just went through and talked about what we had learned the day previously and came up with 3 or 4 key facts that we wanted to memorize about hurricane. Now, making flashcards is definitely over my first grader's head. That is more than she is ready to do yet. So oftentimes she will either play with a manipulative or work on her dot-to-dot book or just do something else to keep herself busy while the older kids and I are working on these flashcards and reviewing. So we will spend, just about 5 minutes filling in a flashcard, and then we will spend about another 5 minutes reviewing all of the flashcards that we've made for the unit thus far. So I just use those flashcards to just kind of quiz my kids real quick and say, hey, what do you guys remember about sea turtles? Hey, what do you guys remember about crustaceans? And I let all of them, even my first grader, just tell me the facts that they remember. So now we are about 10 minutes into our group time, and we are ready to start today's lesson. And today we are on lesson 11 about seahorses. Before I start reading the teacher guide, I go ahead and have everybody open up to the first page in their notebooking page. And we just kind of peruse it, and I give the kids instructions on what they should be doing with that page while I am reading the teacher's guide. Mariah, my first grader, will try really hard to just listen her hardest and take little notes or draw little pictures about what I am reading. My older 2 kids who are middle schoolers will do their best to take notes while I read. Again, I am really trying to model for them how to listen to a lecture and take notes. So as I read the teacher guide, you'll see here that I am taking notes on our whiteboard to kind of show them how they could take good notes and organize it for themselves. So as much as I have enjoyed enjoyed going down rabbit trails, pulling up YouTube videos, and all of those things, I realized that for my kids right now in our season of life, it was getting a little bit too distracting. By the time we were getting down a couple of rabbit trails, we would forget the point of the lesson or forget what notebooking page we were working on. So the system that I've worked out for right now is that I am saving our rabbit trails and YouTube searches and things like that for later in the day. As we are reading the teacher's guide, as we're going through the information, if somebody has a question or an idea or a thought about a rabbit trail we could take, I just go ahead and note that on our whiteboard and leave it up there so that I don't forget about that. And we wait and tackle all of that once our notebooks are completed. So like I said, this is just what is working best for our family right now. The beauty of Gather Round is that you can tailor it for your family and do it just about any way you want to. Reading aloud from the teacher guide takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And by this time, my early reader, Mariah, has been able to complete her notebooking page. She's drawn all of her pictures and even had time to color it. Now, my middle schoolers are never able to finish their notebooking page in the time that it takes me to read the teacher guide. They are also asked to do additional research where they need to get out an animal encyclopedia or look up information online. So they always need a little bit of extra time to complete that page. So what we do is we set a timer. I set a timer for 15 minutes and they work and focus just on that page. In the meantime, Mariah and I will grab a couple of books out of our unit book basket and head to a couch and just sit and read. This allows Noah and Leah a lot of quiet time to focus and gives me time to read her some picture books aloud. When the timer goes off, Mariah and I head back to the schoolroom and everyone stops. Whether or not they have completed their entire page, I ask Noah and Leah to stop at this point. If they have been giving me a consistent, good effort, trying their best, it's enough work and we're gonna stop there. We then spend the next 5 to 10 minutes doing oral narrations. I let each of the kids go around in kind of a show and tell style and give us an oral narration of their notebooking page. Noah and Leah will tell us about extra facts that they looked up and researched and found about the animals. And Mariah will interpret her drawings for us and tell us what each of the things mean.
All right, so tell me some of your facts that you found.
Looks like seaweed. It can be 8 inches long. Eats crustaceans. Oh yeah, it has no teeth.
They live in the coral reef of the Pacific Ocean. They can move their eyes independently. They can change color. The males have babies and
Facts about
the big belly.
the big belly. Okay, so we're gonna write, I chose big belly seahorse. Okay, so can you tell me, you had to write out facts about the habitat, the diet, and interesting facts. What did you learn? Where do they live?
They live in the ocean.
And what was their diet? What food did they eat?
They eat shrimp and lobsters.
So crustaceans. And then what is this a picture of right here?
It's seaweed.
Seaweeds.
We then all move on to the next page together. The next page in this lesson is a science page devoted to the scientific method. We read the instructions together as a group. And Mariah's page in the early reader this time is more of just like a discussion guide, whereas Noah and Leah in the middle school pages are needing to fill out more notes and kind of brainstorm some ideas. So we will just do this worksheet together as a family. I will write out answers on the whiteboard for them to copy, and we just go through box by box on the worksheet, writing out notes. In the meantime, Mariah just kind of needs something to do with her hands, so I let her grab some stickers out of our sticker basket, and she just decorates her scientific method page with some ocean stickers and listens the best she can. This worksheet takes us about 10 to 15 minutes minutes to complete, and then again, as a family, we move to the next page in our notebooks. Now, as I mentioned before, we supplement with other language arts curriculum in our household, and this is the language arts page for this lesson. So I go ahead and I let my middle schoolers skip this page, and for some reason, they get so much empowerment out of being able to X out that page and say, I don't have to do it. For Mariah in the early reader page, this is more of just a Bible verse, tracing, copy work activity, and she actually really enjoys doing pages like this. So I go ahead and allow her to do this. It only takes her 2 or 3 minutes to finish the page, and this gives my middle schoolers just a couple minute break to be able to get up, refill their water cups, stretch their legs, and just take a few minute break. Once Mariah has completed this page, we all come back together around the table again and move on to the next page in our notebook. This is a social studies page about ocean resources. On Mariah's page, she is asked to draw pictures of ocean resources, where Noah and Leah are asked to kind of mind map or write out bubbles of information about ocean resources that we are going to research together as a family. So I go ahead and I let Leah grab the laptop and just do a quick Google search about ocean resources, and we just spend time discussing it as a family, and the kids each fill out the worksheet to the best of their ability. Again, this worksheet takes us about 15 minutes to do together as a group. The last page in everyone's notebook is an art page where they are asked to draw a picture of a seahorse. And in the teacher's guide, there is an example for them of how they could step-by-step draw a seahorse. I also have a watercolor book that they can use as an example to do this. I let my kids really pick whatever medium they want, whether they want to use crayons or colored pencils, watercolors, whatever they'd like to do. And I try to give them as much time to work on this part of their notebook as they want. By this time, it's starting to get a little bit closer to lunch, and so this is the time when my kids can work on that art page up until lunch, take as much time as they need, and if they want to go back and add anything else to any of their other notebooking pages, if maybe they didn't have enough time before that timer went off, they can go back and add more work if they want to. Kids are finishing up their art pages, it is just about time for my toddler to move on and do something else. He is done playing in his room with those toys, and Ava is waking up from her nap. So I go ahead upstairs and grab both of the babies and bring them down. By the time I grab both of them, Mariah is finished coloring her seahorse, and so I just grab a couple of my sensory bins that I created for Ezra, and we head to the front porch. And Mariah and Ezra just sit, and I have a water bead bin with some little ocean animals in it, and then we also have just a kinetic sand bin. And so the two of them just spend a few minutes on the front porch playing with these. Full transparency, Ezra has about a 3-minute attention span. So he spent about 3 minutes playing with water beads and about 3 minutes playing with sand, and he was done. He was ready to go run around in the backyard, go do something else. And so this was just like a fun 5-minute toddler activity where I was just able to kind of incorporate him in what we're learning. And honestly, Mariah eats this type of stuff up. She loves any type of hands-on activity like this. Okay, so at this point, all of the kids have finished their notebooking pages. Everybody's ready for a break. They all go outside and have what we kind of call recess and jump in the trampoline, run around in the backyard, whatever. And I make lunch. Today was just a very snacky lunch, kind of an at-home Lunchable style. Leah actually came in early from playing and helped me. Just crackers and cheese and meats and some veggies and fruit. Very, very simple. Once everything is ready, we have everyone come back in and gather around the kitchen table, and this is what we call our rabbit trail time. This is the time of the day where if there was anything that anybody wanted to study or look into more, we can discuss and pull up on the computer or pull up on YouTube on our TV. So today the kids were really interested in the fact that male seahorses carry the babies. And so I just did a quick YouTube search of a male seahorse giving birth. And so we watched just a short 2-minute YouTube video. And then I also just looked up a Wild Kratts episode about seahorses. And the kids just enjoyed watching these videos, again, while their hands are busy, while their mouths are full and they're quiet. It's just a really great time to go down those rabbit trails and supplement a little bit with some extra information and just a little bit of fun. Now, I have mentioned in some of my gather round videos before that about one day a week or so, we try to devote an afternoon to doing an extra fun activity. Normally, this is on Fridays. We call it our Friday Fun Day, and I try to come up with some type of activity or craft that we can do that goes along with our unit study. So today we went ahead and did our sand art kit that I had purchased online for them. It really doesn't, I guess, have a lot to do with oceans other than the fact that it's a craft and it has to do with sand, and I knew the kids would just really enjoy this. So once I get Ezra and Ava down for their afternoon naps, I let my 3 older kids go out to the backyard at the picnic table and just let them spend some time doing this sand art craft. There was enough in the box for each of them to make 2 little sand art bottles, and so they each have one to keep and one to gift to somebody. I definitely recommend anytime you're doing any kind of craft project or anything, anytime you can do it outside at a picnic table, it makes cleaning up messes so much easier, so much less hectic, so much more fun. And my kids like the change of scenery. You know, we spend a lot of time in our school space, some time in our kitchen table, and then some time outside. And we just really like to move around the house and do different activities in different spaces. The last thing that I would mention about gather round is at our dinner time. Normally at dinner time, Dad will be sitting down with the kids and like most dads do, asks, "Hey guys, how was school today?" And the kids really enjoy sharing facts with Justin that they learned during their group time during our unit study that day. I'm sure at dinner tonight we will be talking all about the fact that male seahorses carry the babies. That was just, blew my kids' minds. In the evenings and sometimes on the weekends, we will also use these times to do some extra movie nights or documentary times. My kids have really enjoyed watching some of the Disney ocean themed movies like Moana and Nemo and Dory, and Noah and Leah have actually been looking up some different ocean documentaries that they've been watching in the evenings sometimes. And so we just really try to hit gather round themed things throughout the day as much as we can. I think that that's just a testimony of how great gather round is. My family is really enjoying it, so much so that they want to incorporate it throughout all of their day, at all of our meals, at all of their TV times. They are wanting to learn more and more and more about what we are studying. So guys, I think that's it. I think I covered everything. This was definitely a typical, normal day in the life of gather round in our homeschool. All in all, doing the physical book work of gather round takes us around 2.5 hours, sometimes 3, depending on how many rabbit trails we go down at lunch. You could definitely do it faster than that, or you could, beef it up and take it and make it a lot longer than that. Whatever works for your family and for your child or the amount of children that you have. Now, I know that there are a lot of gather round families out there who just let all of their kids do their notebooking pages independently, send them off and let them do it on their own. And I have done that in other units for sure. But right now, this seems to be the best fit for our family in this season of life. With all of my kids kind of moving up into new notebooking pages that are a little bit more challenging, just keeping everyone together and working as one family unit is just really been great for our family and has just been a positive experience for all of us. It also keeps us very productive and on task. We're all working together, motivated together, and just, chugging along, getting one page at a time completed. Now, this is definitely a little bit more in the Charlotte Mason vein of things, where you are doing very short, focused lessons, only spending, 10, 20 minutes on one thing and then moving on to something else. And that is really the style of homeschooling that we like to pursue in our house. And so that is part of the reasoning behind why we treat Gather Round this way. I hope that this little peek inside of Gather Round in our homeschool was helpful to you. If you are on the fence about whether or not you want to use Gather Round as curriculum for your family, I would definitely encourage you to head to the website. They have week-long lessons that you can download for free and just try it out for 5 days in your home and see if it works. Honestly, that is how we kind of started. We tried Gather Round, one unit for just 1 month to see how it went, and within 3 days of lessons we were hooked and we knew that this was the homeschool core for us. I also want to encourage you, if you're new to Gather Round or you've only been doing it for a unit or two, it may take you a few weeks or even a few months to kind of find your groove. That has definitely been the case for us. Every unit has just gotten better and better, and I've been able to teach it with more confidence, and we have found little systems and rhythms and routines that work best for our family. So I would definitely encourage you to give yourself grace, give your kids some time to work out all of the kinks. You will find a system and a routine that works well for you. Things around here change a lot. Nap times are constantly changing, every day is different. And so I am intending to make some more videos like this, especially this year as things change in our house and maybe how we do Gather Round changes. So as we're doing different units, you can definitely expect some more day in the life of Gather Round videos here on my channel. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the red subscribe button so you don't miss any of that. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up below and leave me a comment. If you're using Gather Round, tell me what unit you're using, what one you have enjoyed, and just how Gather Round is a blessing to your family. I hope that you guys' school year is off to a great start. See you later.